Welcome to another episode of the Hot Topic Podcast with your host, Patrick Quanch.
What's up? What's up, man? I got Curtis Benson with LiftMax Pros on the Hot Topic Podcast today. Brother, how are you, man? You're looking good.
I am doing good, doing great for a Thursday.
Yeah, man. That's or otherwise known as the fourth Monday of the week.
Monday, chapter 4.
Yeah, man. There you go. Perfect, man. Well, good deal. Thanks for joining us. Looking forward to this, man. I know we've talked a couple different times. And you were at a trade show one time, and we did a virtual call. And
Yes.
I know you guys are super huge. I see your post on LinkedIn all the time. I mean, it's 3 or 4 a day. I mean, that's good stuff. So, looks like business is good for you guys. How's everything going?
It's growing, and along with the growing, we have the growing pains. That's just part of it. We're grateful for the business that's coming our way and new adventures we're going on, and it's all just designed to really push that for one-stop shopping for our customers.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Yeah. Like I said, most of what I see is, I guess is the main part of your business the roll-off business? Because that's mainly what I see. I know you
Yes.
guys do a lot of different things, but that's mostly what I see.
Yes, everything, the heartbeat, the blood vessels about us is the open top roll off dumpsters.
Nice. Okay. And you guys upfit and, well, in fact, you manufacture the dumpsters to begin with. Am I correct in that?
Yes, we manufacture the dumpsters at our sister company, which is Southeastern Steel Manufacturing Co., also here in Statesville, North Carolina.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I see. I see, man, bright colored dumpster roll-offs, man. It's cool looking stuff, man.
Shout out to Sherwin-Williams.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, man, they do a good job for you guys keeping those things colorful. So,
yeah, and what's crazy is literally right across the street, across the street and across the railroad tracks, there is the Sherwin-Williams Distribution Center in Statesville, North Carolina.
oh my gosh.
They're literally right across the road.
Man, that makes it convenient, doesn't it?
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, man, tell me about you. What brought you to this side of the business? I know everybody's got a story. What brought you to this side of the business?
Well, it's very interesting, so to speak, and I'll try to give you a little more detail to it. Is what started my civilian careers is in 2013, I left the U.S. Air Force after 5.5 years of service, and I took my GI Bill to go to college at UNC Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I was working a part-time job in Charlotte at a firearms store. And then once college ran out, that nice veteran affairs money ran out too. And we had to go get a job that paid a little better.
Yeah.
So I said, man, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I'm good at sales. So I literally went home on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And I drafted resumes about my sales experience. I made 10 copies, and I told myself Saturday, I'm going to go hand out these 10 resumes. I'm not coming back home until all 10 have been handed out.
Okay.
And I strategically picked the Lake Norman area, north of Charlotte, because it's a higher revenue, higher opportunity area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on my third stop out of 10, hired. We'll see you Monday morning, 9 a.m. Okay. I was like, okay. Dang. It goes to show when you bet on yourself, you're probably going to win.
Oh, yeah.
And then that place that hired me just happened to be a Chevrolet Buick Cadillac dealership in Mooresville, North Carolina. And worked there for a handful of years. Did retail sales and commercial sales at times, and a little bit of finance and insurance towards the end. And what got me from there into the waste industry is back in, I want to say it was 2020, maybe 2021. My younger brother decided he was going to stop doing landscaping and get into junk removal. And he had joined this junk removal company at the time called Troops Haul Junk. And it was a military-based campaign. You had to be a military veteran to be in this company. And so my brother bought into a franchise. He came to me to buy a Chevrolet Silverado 5500 HD. So I sold him a cab and chassis 5500 Silverado. We had it sent off to an upfitter to get a hook lift. And then for the next few years, I would kind of listen to him about his career, how his waste removal business is going, how the industry is, honestly recession proof, because waste and demolition and storms and hauling, it never stops regardless of the economy. And after a handful of years at the dealership of 6 days a week, a lot of 12-hour shifts and pressure and missing out on family life, it kind of ruins your quality of life for a little bit. So I decided that it was best to do a different venture. So I called my brother up and I said, "Hey, Chris, I want to come work for you. Let's get a second truck and I'll start hauling for you." He goes, "Well, I'm not looking to expand right now, but I'll get you in contact with one of my friends in the business." Just so happened that was the ownership of Southeastern Steel Manufacturing Co. in Statesville, North Carolina. So once again, my time at the dealership, it was a Thursday. This phone call with the owner of SSMC took place the very next day on Friday. I came in the following Monday for an interview. Hired.
That's crazy.
I was like, when you bet on yourself,
yeah,
you're probably going to win.
Yeah.
It's just the what's the term I'm looking for? The probability, and you also have the law of averages. Law of averages is going to say that, hey, you're going to win. So, and in our first conversation with my interview, it was kind of interesting because in their minds, I learned this after the fact, in their minds, they were going to plug me into a role kind of like a business development center, like a call agent. And again, they were speaking to me, and we were talking about my experiences with trucks, my knowledge there, and that I had contacts at hook lift companies such as Powfinger. And they were like, "Curtis, you know Powfinger?" I was like, "Yeah, I can call them right now and get them on the phone." And they said, "You can get us Powfinger." I said, "Yeah, I can bring them to your front door, but it's up to you to make it stick." That's exactly what I told them in my first interview. And we were discussing more options, more things about the industry and the job. And they happened to mention that upfitting trucks was a 2-3 year plan for them down the road. And mind you, this conversation took place in February of 2024. Our first upfits came along in July of 2024.
So much for the 3-year plan, huh?
And it's so crazy how LiftMax Pros was born, because we had this program called Zoom Info. And on Zoom Info, we had it curated to where we could target waste industry companies in any state we wanted to. And when I first started, one of the things they asked me to do was start cold calling. And cold calling is so powerful in this industry, because people that need dumpsters, they don't know where to go. They don't want to deal with having to do research. If I call him and say, "Hey, this is Curtis with Southeastern Steel, I'm looking to help you with some roll-off containers. Do you have a few minutes to talk?" And they're, yeah. Because I'm not calling them about a Malibu anymore. It's not a car dealership calling. This is someone calling about commercial equipment that makes them money and puts food on their table. So yes, they want to pick that phone call up and let's chat. And I called this company in Georgia, and it's also in Florida, and it was a junk removal company. I want to say it was called Stand Up Guys, for example. Stand Up Guys Junk Removal. Awesome commercials, by the way. If you get a chance to look at them, they're really funny. And talking to them, this is how small the world is. Talking to them, they had been bought out by a company, a big national moving company called All My Sons Moving and Storage,
Yeah.
which is actually in Texas. That's
Yeah.
where they're headquartered at, in that Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Uh-huh.
And so All My Sons purchased some junk removal companies. Well, they get in contact with me because I've been in contact with their newly acquired company, Stand Up Guys. Well, they purchased a fleet of Isuzu trucks and wanted to have them upfitted with switch and go cable roll-off hoist. And that's honestly how LiftMax Pros was born. It was that, and it all happened off a cold call.
Wow.
And yeah, and the crazy thing is, the gentleman that owns the All My Sons franchise based in the Charlotte area of North Carolina was actually someone I was helping. He didn't end up buying a Corvette from me at the dealership, but he was at my sales desk at one point talking about a Corvette. And we were talking about deposits and pricing and all the details. And I have his in my phone right now. And I called him after that upfit thing happened. And I said, Chris, this is insane how the world works, that our paths somewhat cross again. And I'm not even at a sales desk at a Chevrolet dealership anymore. I'm upfitting waste removal trucks. And it kind of shows that you never know how you're going to cross paths with someone.
Mm-hmm.
I've even had customers that I've sold Cadillacs to, Dodge Chargers to, and this particular guy lives in Virginia, Martinsville, and he actually runs a dumpster business as a side hustle. And he talks to me about getting a roll-off truck. And this is someone I used to sell, Caddies, Escalades, Yukons.
Wow.
And I'm like, it's just nuts how you change industries.
Yeah.
And the people that you used to help can still be your customers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Because they, and we've always talked about this, and you and I have talked about this specifically about people buying from people. Once they develop a trust with you and they like you, and you provide them value, those are the three things you have to have. You check all three of those boxes. It doesn't matter what you sell. If it provides them value and they need it, they're going to buy it from you because they trust you.
Correct.
No, that's an awesome story, man.
But that is the long version of it. But yes, essentially it was quite ironic that, I can give my brother a call and he connects me with somebody, and then here I am. I'm just taking my knowledge of trucks I had at the dealership world and applying it here with the knowledge I've learned from my brother, who's been a junk hauler for a handful of years.
Yeah.
And we're just chucking the ball down the field and getting touchdowns.
Isn't that crazy? That's nuts how all that works. Wow.
Yeah.
So you said you was in the Air Force for 5.5 years, man. I
Yes.
appreciate your service.
Thank you.
Tell me about that. Where did that take you in the world?
My military venture started in February of 2008.
Okay.
At 19 years old, I flew out of Charlotte down to Dallas-Fort Worth, then from there to San Antonio.
Okay.
Oh, man. And in the movies, when you get on the bus,
Yeah.
they show the bus and the drill sergeant's on there yelling at you. And that's so real.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being on the bus heading to the base from the San Antonio airport at Lackland Air Force Base. And it didn't really hit me until you see those gates open and you're like, oh God.
You're in now.
You're in, and you get off that bus and you have all these black brim hats all in you can't see their eyes because the drill sergeants they got their brims down and all you see is their mouth, and your body's so stressed out, you're so tense.
Yeah.
And oh man, I'd love to go back and watch it, but it was going to take me initially to England. My first duty assignment when I was in basic training was going to be Lakenheath Air Base in the UK. Well, before I went in, I had received a speeding ticket
Mhm.
on a Suzuki Gixxer crotch rocket. And I wasn't able to acquire the correct security clearance to go to Lincoln Heath because they actually stock live nuclear weapons there. And so I ended up getting a second option. Well, at the time, I was seeing this lady back home, and I was like, well, let's go to Seymour Johnson Air Force Base in Goldsboro, North Carolina, because I knew that home was 3.5 hours away if I wanted. So every weekend, if I wanted to, I could drive home.
Yeah.
Which I did most weekends.
Yeah.
And so I went there, and then people were telling me, you probably shouldn't go there because it's also called, Shady J or Seymour Desert instead of Seymour Johnson, which Seymour Johnson Air Force Base got its name from a gentleman named Seymour Johnson, who is a Goldsboro, North Carolina native who was actually a naval aviator.
Oh, wow.
So I went there, and my job description was what's called a 2W1, which is an armament systems specialist. My job role was to load munitions, air to air, air to ground, chaff flare, 20 mil ammo on the F-15E Strike Eagle platform.
Mm.
So we went on a few deployments. We went twice to Afghanistan, once to the UAE, United Arab Emirates.
Mm-hmm.
My first deployment was in 2009 to Bagram Air Base, Afghanistan, outside of Kabul. When we got back from that one, I went on a shorter deployment to the Arab Emirates. Didn't seem like a deployment, which it's considered a deployment because of the length of time you were there.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to go off base. I got to see Abu Dhabi, Dubai.
Oh, wow.
I went skiing in the Dubai Mall, which is amazing. They actually had chairlifts, full ski resort inside the mall. It's nuts.
That's crazy.
We stayed in a hotel right down the street from the Yaz Marina Circuit, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the final race of the Formula One season.
Okay.
It may have changed, but back then, and up to a few years ago, F1 ends their season at Yaz Marina Circuit, and it could have changed. I could be wrong. And then they were actually building a theme park next to that called Ferrari World. So we didn't get to experience Ferrari World because it was under construction. But I did see the Burj Khalifa back then. It was beautiful. It was massive. UAE is a great spot to live. So that was awesome. And then when I get back from that, which that took me through Spain on the way home. We stopped in Morón, Spain. Spent some time there. Then my last deployment was back to Afghanistan in Bagram, outside of Kabul. And to and from, we stopped in Germany, Ireland, Iceland, Romania, Kyrgyzstan. So I've gotten to see some countries around the world. The one area I wish I would have gotten to see would be more of Asia. I would have loved to be able to go to South Korea for some time and live in Seoul, or to Aviano Air Base in Italy. That would have been nice, but I did my 5.5 years at that time. My daughter was born in April of 2013, and I separated officially in June of 13.
Oh, wow.
And it was hard because ever since 9/11, when I was in middle school, I knew that going to the military was 100%, no questions about it. I'm putting on a uniform and I'm serving my country. I was just steadfast on it. You couldn't steer me any other way. And I kept that in my mind from middle school, the day 9/11 happened, up until I joined. That was my entire reason, was 9/11. Then I'm overseas and I'm seeing dads, missing their childbirth, and they're watching over Skype. Divorce paperwork. You would not believe how much divorce paperwork goes across the ocean back and forth to the States with that. Negative sides of it, the depression, people missing their kids, having to watch them open presents on Christmas, through Skype. Some families would wait and not have Christmas until they got back, which could be February, March, April. So you're having a late Christmas in the spring. It was very difficult to see. So I was very fortunate that when I was in the Air Force, I was single. I wasn't married, didn't have any children. But the moment my daughter was born, or when I knew we were pregnant with her, I knew that I didn't want to be that dad that was away. And I have all the respect in the world for those moms and dads in the military that have to answer the call of duty, go to states far away, go to countries far away, and they can't see their kids can't see them except through video platforms these days. It's difficult. I can go to a show in Las Vegas or Indianapolis, for 3-4 days, and I'm already missing my kids terribly.
Mhm.
And it's just, it gets to where you have that empty nest feeling and it's hard to sleep. So, like I said, so much kudos and thanks to those that go through that and to do what they do for us, and they sacrifice time with their families.
Yeah.
There's a good saying out there that says that there are brave men and women standing by to do violence on our part so we can sleep peacefully at night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so true. Even when I was in my first deployment at 19 years old, this is an absolute true story. This happened on June 20th of 2008. Nope, June 20, 2009. I'm sorry. We are doing a fallen comrade ceremony at Bagram Air Base. Across the runway, they're actually loading deceased soldiers onto a C-17 to fly back to Dover Air Base in the States. And we're watching the procession. We're all lined up at the end of the flight line. All of a sudden at night, the mountains around us start lighting up orange, and these rockets and mortars start coming in, and all you can hear is the whistles, and then you hear the explosions. So as a kid, you've played the game red light, green light.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't have our weapons on the flight line because it's a foreign object damage, FOD, hazard, because if you drop a piece of it or metal breaks or you drop a bullet, an engine can suck it up and damage the engine. So we're having to run as fast as we can to the bunkers. Now, the bunkers are probably a good 100 yards away from us, easily a football field minimum. So you run as fast as you can, and when you hear the whistles, you get down, cover up. When the explosion completes itself, you get back up and you run as fast as you can. When the next whistle gets loud, you lay down again and let that explosion. So you just red light, green light the whole way to the bunker.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden you're hearing alarms going off, choppers are scrambling, they're flying over the fence line of Bagram. You hear the guns start spraying lead, and that happened all while we were attending, seriously, a fallen comrade ceremony, because they knew that the U.S. soldiers would be lined up in formations, to do this.
Yeah.
And also they knew where the fighter jets were parked. They knew where the fuel bladders that housed the JP-1 jet fuel. They were aiming for all that. And that was the night I turned 21 years old.
Oh, geez.
June 20th of 2009. My 21st birthday. And I remember going back inside the hangar building after the attack was over. One of the staff sergeants come up to me and they said, Airman Benson, Benson, you all right? Because I was just standing there against the wall, and I'm like, yeah. They're like, we got to make sure you're good. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And there were some others that were shooken up. Mm-hmm. But me, I'm just sitting here like telling myself, they were right. There's people in this world that actively want to kill me just because I'm an American, just because I'm wearing this uniform. They don't know that I have family back home. They don't care. They just want to kill you because you're you. And that's all I was thinking about is that. And of course the attacks, when you're there for 7 months at a time, I mean, rocket and mortar attacks get common, at some point you're just out on a flight line. You're like, whatever, I'm gonna keep working, but you can't. But
Yeah.
you just get to the point where you're used to it,
Yeah.
and so that happens, and you're always on guard because you're walking around with an M16. Some of them had M9s. You're keeping eye contact everywhere because you don't know if one of the Afghans working on base, which is called a TCN, a third country national, some of them were employed by the base to work there, but they might also have phones and radios sending out information to their Taliban brethren in the mountains. So you never know. And so your head's always on a swivel. You're always watching. You're always keeping distance. And by the time your day is done, not only are you physically exhausted, mentally you're just drained.
Yeah.
And coming back home is a challenge. Luckily, I've never had to deal with PTSD or shell shock from explosions or bombs or ammunition being fired off. I did have trouble on my first 4th of July back home. Once I got back from deployment, rather, the concussion or the sound of like the fireworks going off, because you can see the light first of the fireworks, but the loud boom comes second. I could feel myself getting a little tense, like the first July 4th after I'd gotten out. But that's all gone away years ago. But sadly, there are many that have nightmares, night terrors, post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Yeah.
Some of them had to pull triggers and take lives.
Yeah.
And they have those visions in their head and it never goes away.
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't have to do that. I never had to pull a trigger of a gun on somebody. But I will tell you, I loaded many, many warheads on F-15s that dropped and created deceased Taliban.
Yeah.
A great many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. What a story, man. That it really hits home. It's like you said, it's you're over there doing a job. There's danger involved, but until you meet that danger for the first time, it really doesn't set in. Then it really sets in. No, I appreciate your service, man.
Thank you.
Did. Appreciate the story. Did you get to spend any time here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area at what is now the Joint Reserve Base? Used to, years ago, it was a SAC base. It was Carswell Air Force Base. Did you spend any time here?
In Dallas, I spent one night. I remember on the way to basic training in 2008, in February of 2008, when I got to Dallas, I was shocked how big the airport was.
Yeah.
I'd never been to Atlanta was the biggest airport I'd been to.
Yeah.
And on Dallas, I was so shocked that I had to take trams to get from one terminal to the next.
Yeah.
And how big it was. And then I hadn't, last time I went to Dallas would have been after my basic training was done at Shepherd Air Force Base in Wichita Falls, Texas, which was up near Oklahoma border.
Yep.
Well, when we left Shepherd Air Force Base, I want to say it was July or August of 2008. And my God, the summers in Texas.
They're for real, man.
I think some days I would rather have the Texas heat because North Carolina, it's swampy, man. High humidity.
Yeah.
The summers down there for you guys is like a blow dryer in your face.
Oh,
like a very dry summer. Like I want to take that over the soupy chicken noodle soup heat we have. Like when it's 100 degrees in North Carolina and humidity.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care what Old Spice says. It's not lasting 24 hours.
No,
it's going to last 4 hours. But regardless, after my tech school was done in Wichita Falls, Texas at Shepherd Air Force Base, some of the buddies and I, we rented a vehicle from I think it was Enterprise. It was actually on the base at Shepherd Air Force Base.
Yeah.
We rented a vehicle and we drove it one way to the DFW airport from Wichita Falls. If
Okay.
I'm not mistaken, I think it was like an F-150. No, it was a pickup truck, but I can't remember what brand. And I remember driving into Dallas and seeing this big, massive facility. And I'm like, oh my God, what is that? And as we get closer, it was Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
And I had seen Charlotte Motor Speedway a few times.
Yeah.
But when I saw Texas Motor Speedway, I was like, oh my God. Like it was, that still is in my head. And
Yeah.
I remember, and that was one of my only memories of Dallas. Cause like I said, I've never spent more than a few hours in Dallas to this point. Now in Wichita Falls, I thought it was interesting because you see movies and shows about Texas and saloons, and they're real.
Yeah.
I drove by and saw it. I was like, okay, so you got that Texas vibe, that Texas atmosphere. I got to see the Alamo and the Riverwalk in San Antonio. Yeah. That was beautiful. My mom and dad flew in 2008 to hang out with me.
Yeah.
After graduation of basic to see that.
Yeah.
But I do have plans to go to Dallas. One Texas trip in my mind I really want to do is, I'm sure you've heard of an airline called Allegiant Air.
Mm-hmm.
Allegiant actually flies out of North Carolina to Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And I want to go to a either an F1 race there or the NASCAR race that goes there.
Yeah.
To the F1 track in Austin.
Yeah.
At the Circuit of America. That's a bucket list for me.
Yeah.
I want to see that. But main story here is I would love to go spend more time in Dallas and experience it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm going to tell you that being a lifelong Texas resident, you have Texas and then you have Austin, and they're two totally different things. Austin is just different. In fact, their mantra for the city is keep Austin weird, and it is. It's very weird, man. When you get down there, you'll see stuff. McConaughey's from the Austin area.
Yeah.
He actually grew up. You remember a couple years ago the really bad elementary school shooting in Uvalde?
Yes.
Uvalde's a beautiful part of the world, and it's a relatively small area, but that's where McConaughey's from. And it's about an hour or so outside of Austin, maybe 2 hours, but that's where he grew up, and then obviously he lives in Austin now. But yeah, Austin is absolutely gorgeous. It's one of the most beautiful parts of the world that you'll ever encounter. Of course, they had the horrific flooding down there over the 4th of July weekend. It's not far from Austin, and that was bad. But they're still looking for people, and man, those little girls, I can't watch it anymore. It's like I feel compelled, and I just feel a responsibility to watch and hear the stories and see what's going on. But I got to tell you, and this, that's hard to watch. It really is, to know that, you send your kids off to church camp thinking they're safe. There's nothing that's going to get them, right? There's people down there that are there to take care of them. And then in the matter of minutes, they're gone. And it's, man, that's a hard pill to swallow. I get adults. I understand. I mean, they've lived their life, and I feel for the adults that are gone as well. But those little kids were so innocent, man. 8, 9, 10 years old. They had their whole life ahead of them, and it was all swept away in a second. And it's just, and then you start thinking, okay, well, what if that flash flood happened just 3 hours later? Everybody would have been awake. They might have been away from the river. Could have been in the river. Could have been worse. But you'd like to think if they were awake, they would at least have some bearing as to what's going on. They can see the river rising, and maybe there's people rounding people up to get them, to higher ground. I don't know. I mean, obviously I wasn't there. I'm just going by what I'm seeing. But man, for that water to rise, I think they said it rose 26 feet in 45 minutes. And everything was just along the riverbanks. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful part of the world. But
I would imagine
that's
so. I know we feel for Texas very much.
mm,
North Carolina is still healing over
mhm,
the hurricane damage
mm,
and going on. And with Texas, it broke my heart to watch a story that two sisters really passed. They found their bodies still holding hands, and then this you ask why did this have to happen?
mm,
And then in Washington State, it was a natural disaster, but you have a father taking his three children's lives, and it's like, man, these are kids.
mhm,
This isn't supposed to happen.
mhm,
And I mean, in the animal kingdom, youth die all the time, but we
mhm,
as humans naturally we're going to lean towards our own kind,
mhm,
and the loss of children is just unfathomable. And
mhm,
a father of three myself, I've got a 12-year-old, a 8-year-old, and a 2.5-year-old, and I couldn't imagine something happening to them. And then here there are parents that have to deal with this evil that never felt it would happen to them.
mm,
And it just makes you scared. It
mhm.
literally makes you scared that, like, I want to text my daughter or my son and be like, hey, what are you doing? Just so if I know
Yeah,
they respond to me,
yeah,
like, it's whatever. They can ask for candy or sweets. I don't
yeah,
care. At
yeah,
least I know you're okay.
yes,
And
yeah,
that's hard. That's hard to swallow. And I know with us
yeah,
at Southeastern Steel and LiftMax Pros, we have been and will continue to be offering what we can as far as dumpsters and containers for
mhm,
those haulers that are going to be embarking on
mhm,
storm cleanup, flood damage, demolition, new construction. And as sad as it is to see and know, is that the world doesn't stop turning.
mhm,
You know, our individual worlds might, but the world as itself, it's not going to stop.
mhm,
And you kind of wish it did for a minute,
mhm.
or you could make it spin backwards a little bit and go back and fix it, but
Yeah,
you can't.
that's not how it works,
It's not.
unfortunately.
It's
Man.
it's a very tough situation.
Mhm. Yeah.
Very, very tough. So definitely feel for those guys in Texas. And I know that Texas is a very strong and proud state, and Texans will show up for their people down there and get it back going again.
Mhm. Yeah, you're right. Texas is and but although Texans will do that, and they do, and we do, I've seen some great miracles from just all around the country. I mean, we alluded to 9/11, and I know you were in elementary school. I was an adult at that time, but just to see the country galvanized when that happened, just to it was very eerie. Um, the nights after that, especially with no air travel, it was very weird. You talked about how big DFW Airport is. At the time, I was living about 5 miles outside of the airport, over in a suburb, and I just remember going outside and talking to people that I didn't know. It didn't matter. We were just talking and looking towards the airport and not seeing any air travel. And at any given time, you could see 30, 40, 50 birds in the air. It was no big deal to see that. It was that busy. And to look over there and not hear that. And it seemed like traffic was a lot quieter. And it just put a blanket over our world. And I saw people come together there. I'm seeing our Texans come together and really try to help where they can. Um, with the and the sad thing is, here we are a week removed from that, and there's still over 100, and well, the last I saw was, I think there's still 180 people that aren't accounted for. They're there, and it's just going to take an effort to get to these people, and that's the tough part. Knowing that, like you said, the story of the two sisters that are holding hands, man, that one just broke me up. I'm like, oh
Oh,
my God, just to know that, what were their last minutes like? How tough was that? But man, it's heavy. But like you said, we'll get through it. Life moves on, unfortunately, in cases like this. But um, we have to move on, and we have to pay homage and live for those people and do what we can to help. And but you're right, life goes on, man. You can't. And it's easy to say because I didn't have any direct loss in what was going on, but it's easy to say. It's hard to do, but you just want to, you know, go hug a neck of a parent that lost their kid. And there were some stories there. They had found a couple of girls. I know they were clinging up in a tree over the weekend, and the parents were so elated to be able to get that news. But how do you celebrate that when your neighbor's parents right next to you are still grieving because their kid's missing? It's almost a silent celebration. That's tough, even though you're super happy for your family and your child and all those things you feel for your neighbor. And that's tough. But like you said, we'll move on, and I think it's great that the companies that you represent are there on the front lines, willing to help and just do whatever it takes, because that's what it takes. It takes a lot of great companies and a lot of great people to be able to make those things go away. They'll never be forgotten, but we certainly need to move on and try to get back to some sort of normalcy. And by the cleanup efforts and things like that, and trying to get our landscape where you can't see the damage. I mean, that's going to be a hugely critical role in getting back some normalcy down there for sure. But yeah, man, that's a tough one. But yeah, I know you guys will be. You probably have some trips down this area. Making sure things get put together here in the near future, if I were to be guessing.
Yes, we
Yeah,
have dialogue with several companies in Texas
good.
regarding roll-off containers and
Yeah,
and we all know without even asking, it's going to be for disaster cleanup,
yeah,
among other things
yeah,
that they'll need them for, and government contracts and such.
yeah, yeah. It'll be some trying times, especially over the next. I would assume that'll probably take a couple of years to get all that cleaned up, is my guess, as as,
Yeah,
as bad as it was. But
yeah, it's going to be rough, and it's going to take time. Even up
yeah,
here in North Carolina,
yeah,
there's a major interstate known as I-40.
hmm
It was a 4-lane interstate. Um, the entire eastbound lane literally fell off the mountain.
oh wow,
Fell off the mountain. So
wow,
now the westbound lane is now used as the passage. So you got one lane going westward, one lane coming eastward, and that's it. And then here recently, we just had a rock slide close down I-40 again, and
jeez,
it's a main passage to get from North Carolina to Tennessee,
yeah,
and we're still dealing with the storm repercussions from that last year
yeah,
here. So the earth will heal.
hmm
The damage scars will last a handful of years,
hmm
and then you really won't see it anymore.
yep,
But us as humans, we don't forget the damage it caused us and the
yeah,
trying times it put us through. Yeah,
yeah.
tough.
You're right, though, man. We're certainly a resilient country. We come to help when we need to help, and we move on, and we try to make the best of things. And um, much like most of the world, I would think we always recognize things, um, whether it be through some statues or whatever we put in place. There's always a good memory of those things for those that aren't here today but will be here in the future. They can see those things and understand what it was all about. Man, that's tough. Well, man, let's move on, brother. Let's lighten it up. tell me about a mentor. You had a mentor in your career, someone you can
Oh
lean
my
on?
gosh, I've had one at every stage.
Yeah.
So everybody, well, I won't say everybody, but I was fortunate enough to have a very hands-on and present father.
Oh, good.
So growing up, I was that kid that was holding the flashlight. And
Getting yelled at.
yeah, about not aiming it in the right spot. But my
Yeah.
goodness, at the things you learn. So,
Yes, yes,
so,
yes.
so growing up, I looked up to my dad so much,
That's awesome.
and he never missed a practice, never missed a ball game, always present.
Yeah.
And so that was my first mentor, and
Yeah.
I still have my dad, so grateful for that.
Good.
When I went to the military, I was very hard headed. I was more aggressive in nature. Um, and I'll admit that's because growing up in middle school, and I won't say in high school, mainly in middle school, I was bullied a lot. And so I started lifting weights, getting into football, and I always walked around with like a chip on my shoulder, like I want somebody to try to be aggressive towards me because I'm now in a position where I don't have to take it. And when I went to the military, I didn't allow myself to be bullied or pushed or pressed. But that doesn't work because when you have somebody that outranks you, like you have to do what you're told.
Yeah.
And I had this master sergeant that he ended up getting transferred from Alaska over to Seymour Johnson. And I'll give him a shout out. His name at the time, his rank name was Master Sergeant Chris Bilbrey. And to this day, I still am so appreciative of the lessons he taught me, the guidance he gave me, because he didn't have to. Because for one, he was a master sergeant. Beneath him was the tech sergeant, and beneath the tech sergeant was my staff sergeant, which was my immediate superior. So we're talking staff sergeant, tech sergeant, then master sergeant. This he doesn't have to give me the time of day. He could filter it down and never even talk with me. But he didn't do that. He would pull me aside, talk to me, chit chat, and kind of treated me in a fatherly way that he didn't have to do. And I always, to this day, I hold so much respect for that because it's taught me, I'm 19, 20 at the time. Okay. Now at 37, when I'm around youngsters, I try to implement those same procedures, even if they're a little rough around the edges, a little ragged, a little wide open. Let's try to tame them and teach them the right way. So, huge mentor for me in the Air Force was Master Sergeant Bilbrey. Now, he went on to gain higher ranks and do other endeavors, but when I was stationed with him, that was his rank there at Seymour Johnson. Past that, I had a little opportunity when I was going to school at UNC Charlotte to get a job at a very large and known firearm store in Charlotte, North Carolina, known as Hyatt Guns. And Mr. Larry Hyatt, the owner, another fantastic mentor for me. And he probably taught me the most I know about sales. And that's where it all started. And how I've adapted to sales so well, even though at the time there I was selling Glocks and Smith & Wessons and Rugers. Everywhere else I've gone to sell, it doesn't matter what the product is. I mean, little simple things he would teach you is if someone says, "Hey, I want to buy this," the only response you should be giving is, "That be cash or debit."
Yeah.
Let's not sell someone out of your own pocket, out of your own feelings. If someone walks in and they point to a specific firearm, I want to buy this. Cash or debit. Here's your paperwork.
Okay. Yeah.
And it sounds crazy, but a lot of people overcomplicate the sales process. When someone walks in and tells you what they've done or what they want, that's it. You're good. Another one he would tell us is problems in the sales industry. Some people will buy product low and sell it too low.
Mm.
So just because you buy it low doesn't mean you have to sell it for cheap. Sometimes in that world, if you were to have purchased X amount of rifles from a manufacturer, let's call it 12, they give you one for free. So if you cost average them out, your cost per item is now lower.
Sure.
But just because your cost per item is lower doesn't mean you have to lower your normal price.
No.
So, but a lot of people have that mentality. Oh, well, I got this product for cheaper. That means I can sell it for cheaper. No. Sell it for your normal price and just increase your margin on those items.
Right.
Okay. And his other version of that was buy too high, never sell. Which means if you go in there and give too much for a pre-owned item or a trade-in item and you're in it for too much money, you're never going to sell it if you want to turn a profit. So you always got to be mindful of those things. And tactics with e-commerce, how to talk to people, how to connect. Mr. Hyatt, it doesn't matter. I'll tell you this, with Mr. Larry Hyatt, it doesn't matter where you're from, what creed or what color, what state you're from, what country, what your religion is, what your politics are. It doesn't matter. You walk into his gun shop, I promise you, he will connect with you. And he will come greet every single customer that's in there and thank them for their time. And he'll make them laugh, which to this day, anytime I have a customer, like, we're not going to talk shop, we're not going to talk business until I know that I've made you laugh. And that's all designed because, one, that's the kind of person I am. I have to have fun. I have to connect with you. I have to laugh. But also in the sales world, that brings down barriers. Okay? It brings down barriers, and now we're on a friend level. And if you have a friend, you're going to make a sale. So Mr. Hyatt was a good mentor for me there. And I took those skills with me to the dealership. When I went to work for Chevrolet back in 2019, this was a dealership. The owner is Mr. Randy Marion. Now, while I didn't have much personal one-on time with him, I was using his sales process a lot, which was a 10-step process called the Road to the Sale, or the Randy Marion 10 steps. The first 3 I still use even here at LiftMax Pros. The first 3 of those 10 is meet and greet. Okay. Now, meet and greet can be over the phone. It can be over the webcam. It can be in person, but meet and greet, very important. And then your number 2 step is establish common ground. They can be done by a hat they're wearing, a shirt, a bumper sticker on their car, where their kids go to school, sport, anything in the world that you can relate to somebody on. You start talking about it. And then the third one was qualify, because you find out, well, hey, I hear you a manager at Wendy's, but if we're looking at an Escalade, I'm going to start having some questions. Not saying there's not a manager at Wendy's somewhere with an Escalade, because there probably might be, but I'm going to have some questions.
Right.
But it's all about, meet and greet, establish common ground, and qualify. And those first 3 steps are so important because that's where you make a friend. And no matter what you're selling, it can be a firearm, it can be a work truck, it can be a regular vehicle, it can be a computer, a TV, yard maintenance, doesn't matter. If you connect with somebody and you get past the, hey, how you doing? I'm busy, I got to go kind of stage, and you connect and you can make eye contact, you can conversate. Body postures are aiming towards each other. You're not closed off and turned and look like you want to get away. Once you can make that connection and make a friend, you're good. You got your sell. And then from there, all you got to do is just maintain that friendship. Just yesterday, I got a call from a customer in Charlotte, North Carolina area that I sold a Yukon to 2 years ago. He called me yesterday wanting to get another vehicle. I haven't been in that industry of selling retail vehicles for about a year and a half now, but I still get phone calls to this day about it.
Yeah.
It's because people want to have that guy.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of thanks to the mentors I've had in the Air Force, at the gun shop, at the car dealership, and now here at Southeastern Steel / LiftMax Pros. I have amazing mentors. Our ownership is wonderful. I just got a call, literally, right before this podcast started. True story. My boss calls me, and he says, "Hey, Curtis, I just I wanted to call because," he's like, I have a good way of noticing when people are off." And he goes, "I'm kind of wondering if you're going through anything, and I wanted to check on you. You doing okay?" That was a real phone call. And I'm just like, "No, I'm fine." I was like, I'm stressed out in a good way because of the growth we have and the things we have going on, and the new roles and hats we have to wear. Theoretical hats, mind you, with navigating expansion and more business, and how to help teach the other guys what I know about trucks and how to do that part. And he goes, "No worries, but just wanted to check." You don't have a lot of ownerships and employees that are like that. That'll come in here and hand you some cash and go say, "Get yourself and the staff here some lunch." And then you go out and you go get your shop some lunch. Or the ones that'll literally just call. There's not a day that goes by that in our work chat, our boss doesn't put a prayer or something motivational in there. And it creates a vibe. It creates, hey, follow me. I mean, who I work for now, one of the best leaders I've ever seen. Because he's not going to ask you to do something that he's not going to be the tip of the spear. He doesn't sit behind a desk and give commands and do this, do that. No, he will actually, I've seen my boss pick up brooms and sweep the floor. I've seen my boss clean bathrooms. And let's just say this guy has a net worth with 2 commas.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right? I don't even have 1 comma. My net worth. But so I've been blessed. I've been very blessed with the skills that I've been given. I had 2 hardworking parents. I've been around the right people. I try to connect with the right people. And in my adult life, every job I've had a great mentor there that I've really, really appreciated. Yeah. So, and I give many thanks to all of them.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, we've all had some really good people. Well, let me say this, not all of us. Most of us have had someone come along that didn't have to do it. They didn't have to pull you aside to maybe point you in the right direction, but maybe they saw something in you. Maybe they saw themselves in you. Whoever. I had a really good mentor that came to me. I want to say by accident, but I've said that for years, but I don't believe that anymore. Everything happens for a reason and a purpose. At the time, you feel like it was an accident. It's just timing. I thought, we were just we're at the same place at the same time. And no, I mean, when you stop and look at those things happen for a reason. And, we just have people like that in our lives. And then, I'm at an age now, I'm in my mid-50s, and I'm just wanting to give back. I'm wanting to help young people. It's like, you kind of see them, they have a thought in their mind as to how this industry works. And it's based on their past experiences, as limited as they are. And, every opportunity that I get, I try to pull them aside and say, "Hey man, let me help you out here. I think you're, I think what you're doing is great, but these are some of the things that have helped me along the way." Some will listen to me, most won't, but it's okay. It worked for me. It won't work for everybody, but um, having a mentor like that and someone that uh, uh, someone can lean on and say, "Hey, man, tell me about this. I know you told me about this years ago. I wasn't listening. Tell me about it now." I think those roles are so important for us to start to fill as we get older and start to help other people along the way. And you know, that's one thing that we need to try to figure out is how do we get more younger people into our industry? It's a constant conversation. Um, I was at the South Central Truck Club back in late June, where and I was talking with a sales director from Napad, and he was picking my brain as to what I thought about the youth in our industry, and I said, well, it's I mean, it's getting better. When I first got into the industry, there was nobody that was my age doing what I did because it was mostly guys that were at the tail end of their careers, that had a big book of business, and they just held on for a long time. And that's kind of how fleet departments were looked at. Now it's more about how do we get youth here and how do we do it. I think NAPAD's got some really good ideas on how they're going to address those things. We'll see. I don't think it's something that they're going to implement and be able to do within a short amount of time. I think it's going to take time. But what does it look like on your side of the industry? Is it kind of the same thing? You have a bunch of old guys that do what we do, or are you starting to see some youth on your side?
We're starting to see a lot of youth. And one of the things I'm most proud of is when I come to work here, a lot of our fabricators, steel workers, installers, the vast majority of them are Hispanic, mainly from Cuba. And a lot of them grew up without opportunity. They grew up with hardly nothing. And they are almost born with an innate skill to do anything. They can take a damaged car and make it new again. They can build a home and run electrical, put up sheetrock, finish walls, work on hydraulic systems because they've had to. They grew up in a world where you got to make what you have work. And then they're here in the States, and I see them so patriotic and so happy to be here, and it gives a lot of perspective. And a lot of them are young that are with us. And our ownership, they love to give those people the opportunity to shine. Also, we have some father and son combos that work at our locations. And it's awesome to go out there. I can go out on the shop floor right now, and I'll see a father and son combo mounting a hoist and equipment on a truck chassis. And right now, as we're talking right now.
Yeah.
And that's very heartwarming to see.
Yeah.
See that happen. Now, as far as getting youth in here that probably aren't connected with the ownership on a friends or family level, we're talking just new random youth out there, is we're all programmed to think college is the correct way to go. And it can be if you want to be a veterinarian, doctor, lawyer, those kind of trades, more what I would call more white collar trades. But, trade work, you can earn a great living. There are plumbers out there that could put their income up against doctors, if not surpass them. And trade work is work that's always going to be here. Doctors' offices can go virtual and not need a location or a showroom or a physical place. And therefore, that cuts down on employees. You can't make a workshop building trucks virtual. AI can't put a service body on an F-250. That's not going to work.
No.
And it's not going to stop either. Yeah. And Doesn't matter if trucks or combustion engine or EV, or doesn't matter. Somebody's got to mount that equipment.
Yeah.
And being in a job like that is job security.
Mm-hmm.
And you can climb a ladder and earn a great living very fast. You just got to trust the process. But I would say it starts with a lot of parents that when they hammer to their kids, college, well, we also need to take a step back and say, hey, are we putting the kids in a bad position? They're going to go to college, rack up a bunch of debt. Are they going to be able to make enough to support their family and still pay back the college debt? But what if we have them go learn a trade
Mm-hmm.
and then start that way?
Mm-hmm.
That's my belief system.
Mm-hmm.
Is I'm all for college. But I told my kids I'd like for y'all to go to the military and have them pay for it. Because they're learning a trade.
Yeah.
They're learning an attitude, they're learning a mentality, they're learning dedication, they're learning punctuality, they're learning what they need to learn and structure in the military at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, because you got to get the small things right before you get the big things right. But these youth, I love taking them in. I would even like to challenge myself to see about any internship programs that I can get started to get youth in the area here in our workshop, log in some hours, learn a trade. Because, welding is a powerful skill to have.
Mm-hmm.
Welders, imagine the work you can do if you know electrical, hydraulics, welding. Like, you are a powerful asset in our world, and you can go work anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine learning welding at Southeastern Steel here in North Carolina, and then you graduate, and you're a head honcho at a shipyard building cruise ships.
Mm-hmm.
And it all started because you learned how to weld when you were 18 years old at a steel shop building dumpsters.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of opportunities that our ownership gives youth. We will teach you trades. We will invest in you. We want to keep you because you're an asset, but we also want to teach you skills that you can take with you should you want to move on, do other ventures, grow. We want you to be successful. And so I really enjoy seeing that. I don't know that I know the correct answer of how to get more youth into it, other than it would take more guidance around the youth, their friends and family, just letting them know that, a lot of times college isn't the answer. Now, I know a lot of people might challenge that, but it's really not. If you literally on paper write down the pros and cons to college and look at it and absorb it, does it really make sense?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I think
a lot of times.
I agree with you. I think it does in certain professions, in certain industries. It does.
100%.
If you're going to be a surgeon, if you're going to be an engineer, things like that, it's necessary. But for a lot of our youth, and I don't want to say they're misguided. I don't want to say that at all, because I think, and I'm a public school kid, so we were indoctrinated with college was the future. Now, I graduated high school in the late '80s, so at that time there was a huge push for college, as there is today. But I think what kids are finding today is that there was so much of a shift, whereas when I was coming up, the trades were still very prevalent. You can be an auto mechanic. You can go to school for about a year to be able to study that, and then you can go get a job and be a technician for the rest of your life, or however long you want to do it. Same way with plumbers, same way with electricians, HVAC, welders, things like that. College, and obviously I don't know specific numbers, but let's just use the 60-40 rule, that 60% of my youth probably went the trade route, whereas 40% probably went the college route. And the town that I grew up in, that mix was probably an 80-20. 80 stayed in the trades and 20% went off to college. Well, if you look at it today, I'd venture to say that it's probably a 60-40 disparity, that more kids are going to college. And what's happening is they're getting out of college and they have a degree that everybody else does, and they're lumped into an area to where everybody's fighting for a small number of jobs. And now AI has started to displace those jobs, and now they have a degree, and I commend them for the degree, obviously, but then they're not able to go use that degree for what they went to school for, and they're passing up, like you said, the welding job. It's like, okay, well, there's nothing sexy about being a welder. Okay, you're right. You know, it's not something you're going to be in a social setting and people are going to gravitate to you to learn more about it. But at the end of the day, the guy or the lady lives in a really nice house. They have food on their table. They have everything that they could ever want in life. And, it gives their kids an opportunity to do what they want, all because they're a welder or they're a plumber or they're a technician. And a lot of those jobs are getting overlooked because they're just not sexy. Another thing that I see is in today's youth, they want it so much faster than we did. We were willing to put in the time and the effort, and we knew, okay, well, I can't get that today. I can't have what my parents have today, but I'm saving for the future. I think a part of that is whenever I was growing up and as a young adult, it was hard to get money. It wasn't easy to go get a loan. It wasn't easy to get a credit card. It wasn't easy to get those things. So therefore, I knew that I had to, pay my dues and do my time to be able to get to a point where I could own a house or things of that nature. When you look at today's youth, everything is so much easier for them. You saw it in the car business. It's like, hey, it's like the manager at Wendy's wanting an Escalade. You know what? There's a lender out there that'll do it. But whenever I was
Sure.
growing up, right, when I was growing up, there wasn't a lender. It's like, hey, man, you know, back then, hey, you're only making $30,000 a year. You can't afford a $50,000 car. In today's world, it's like, oh, you want that? Okay, I'll find a lender that'll do it. Now, are we doing a service to that customer? Well, I don't know. It's not really my place to judge whether that customer can afford it or not. It's what you want. Okay. If you think you can do it and you have the hustle and you've got the muscle and you're willing to, that Escalade is everything in your life and you're going to work, your ass off to get it. Who am I to stand in your way? Right.
Right.
But it's like you said, I'm going to ask some questions. It's like, hey, man, I'm looking here. This is the only income you have. You realize this thing's going to cost more than living in that apartment or living in that house.
Yeah.
But kids, I don't want to say all, and I hate to group everything, but there's just this faction of younger adults that they want things instantly. They want the big house. They want the cars. They want the boats. They want the second houses and those things. The things that have taken years for me to get to and still striving to get. But yeah, you're right. It's getting youth in our industry. I think it's a great opportunity. From anything from being on the floor at a manufacturing facility like yourself, all the way to sales, and everything in between. I think there's an excellent opportunity for youth because there is a huge faction of older adults that are going to be stepping away from our industry over the next 5 to 10 years, and there's not
Yes.
enough youth to fill that in. So I think it's an excellent opportunity.
It's definitely there.
Mhm.
And I would have never imagined how vast this commercial world is.
Mm.
Because I went through a stage of my life where I wanted to be working in a comfy, cozy office wearing Cole Haans and dress shirts every day and not getting dirty. But
Mhm.
it just wasn't me,
Yeah.
and I get to come to work and be around good people and wear golf shirts and shorts and be comfortable and
Yeah, for sure.
and make a decent to great living and be around good people. And I would like for a lot of the youth to know that being successful is not as challenging as you think it might be.
Mm.
You of course you have to have the necessary skills of being coachable,
Mm-hmm.
being teachable, being dedicated, being hardworking. You have to have your good head on your shoulders, for sure. And you have to want to succeed at your craft. I would always like to coach young people to, when you're at work, that's your work's time. Give them your performance. Give them above the minimum. Always go above the minimum. Don't ever be that person that says, well, hey, I only get paid to do this. This is all I'm doing. Like, that's fine. If that's what you want, you're never going to grow. You're never going to get raises, never going to get promotions. You're never going to grow. You always have to go above and beyond and do more than what the call of duty is. Always. And on top of that, in your free time, a lot of folks have the mentality, well, I'm off work, so I'm not going to do anything work related. Well, hey, you and I have that same mentality some days, but how many days when you get done, Patrick, with the Hot Topic podcast, are you really done? Are you really done when you go home after work?
Mm-mm.
No, you're researching for the next episode.
Right.
You're researching the industry. Is there new equipment? Is there new processes? Is there new questions? Is there new things I need to bring to the table? I need to think about, and it can probably keep you up at night sometimes because your brain doesn't stop. The hamster wheel doesn't stop.
You're right.
And that's the people that find success is when they're in their own time. They're still investing in their craft to make themselves better.
Right.
And if you're not doing that, you're doing yourself a massive disservice.
Yeah.
There's going to be time for the PS5.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be time for the beach. There's going to be time to sit at a restaurant and thumb through TikTok for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to find all that. But when you can find time to invest in yourself, take it.
Yeah.
Take it. We just had a meeting a few days ago. Our owner sat down and he told us in a meeting that he watched a competitive brand's YouTube channel for 3 hours straight. He wanted to know what's their customer service, what's their products, what's their content, what's their following. Not to study them, but we want to emulate success.
Yeah.
We don't want to watch them and badmouth them.
Mm.
What are they doing that I could do too to make myself better?
Mm-hmm.
And we do that all the time.
Yeah.
We're here. And yes, it's going to take away from time with your kids, time with your spouse, time from your free time. But if you don't grow, your family is going to pay the price too. I want to be able, to tell my kids, hey, we're going to go spend a week in New York City. But you and I know right now to fly 5 people from Texas, North Carolina to New York City, plus the logistics, plus hotels, it's going to cost several $1,000s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But if I'm not getting myself set up to where I can just hand that over and not question it, I'm doing my family a disservice.
Yeah.
Which that's a whole other rabbit trail I could get into. But I'm a big proponent because everything I've learned, this is true. Even going back to the days when I wanted to get into the firearm world, when I was in the Air Force, I'll be honest with you, this is going to be the craziest thing. I didn't know the first thing about guns. When I was a youth, I shot my dad's single-shot shotgun a few times. Maybe, but I wasn't a gun guy. I didn't know anything about them. I learned how to break down and clean my first gun when I was in the Air Force at 19 years old. I didn't know anything about guns. I couldn't tell you calibers, any of this type stuff. But when I left the military, something made me want to do that line of work. So every day when I drove from my home to UNC Charlotte, it was about a 50-minute one-way drive. I was on YouTube the entire time, listening to reviews, product reviews, industry secrets, things. And I taught myself a lot about it from YouTube riding in the car. And people would be amazed how much of a classroom that literally cost you 0 pennies.
Mm-hmm.
That you can learn from YouTube. Your washer machine could go out tonight. I hope I didn't just jinx you, but your washing machine could go out tonight.
Yep.
And you can get on YouTube and have a free tutorial on how to fix it.
Yeah.
Now, the parts are going to cost you,
Yeah.
but the knowledge, it just costs you your time.
Right.
And if you have the willpower to learn, you just saved yourself from having to pay. Because let's be honest, if your washing machine goes out, it's going to cost. If you have a repairman come, you might as well scrap it and go buy a new one. It's going to cost the same.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. You're
Disposable
right.
society.
Yeah.
But if you can learn to do it yourself, it's probably a $20 part, if that.
Right.
It's just going to take you an hour or two and a few choice curse words, but you'll get the job done. You know?
That's true.
So that's what I would challenge these people, a lot of folks, to do is use your free time to elevate your skill set.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go out in the world and your goal is to make $100,000 a year,
mm-hmm.
and you're right now making $50,000 a year, my question to them is always, what do you do when you get off work
mm-hmm.
to make yourself better,
mm-hmm.
to be worth that $100,000?
Mm-hmm.
And if they give me no answer, I'm sorry, bro, but you're not going to get there.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. You've got to, I like when you said you've got to do more than the bare minimum. You've got to do more. You've got to study. You know, for me, it's jokingly, you said, hey, you know, okay, well, the way I look at it is, for our roughly 2-hour podcast episode here, I'll have roughly 20 hours worth of work that I'll put into this episode. Why? Well, I have software that makes my job very easy. But if I just turn the software loose and I don't turn out a good product to highlight you, to highlight me, have I done my job? No. So it's going to take me another 10 to 20 hours when we get done to be able to edit and chop video and make it look presentable. So that way, when it reaches the areas that I want it to reach on Spotify, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and Apple Podcasts and things like that, we have a nice product that you and I can both be proud of. That's my job, right? But like you said, if I don't do the legwork and I don't do the homework before and after the fact, I spent hours getting ready for our podcast and we're essentially having a conversation. But I've had to teach myself how to be an interviewer. How do I listen better, right? We all think we listen pretty good, but get behind a microphone and have someone tell their whole life story without talking too much. It's tough for a salesperson because we want to interject and we want to have empathy with our customer, with you know, our friends and things of that nature. But to be a good interviewer, I've got to sit back and just listen, right? So yeah, there's always a learning curve. There's always more that we can learn. There's always more that you can do. I'm going to guess that somewhere along the way in your career path, you probably didn't know anything about GVWR, nor did you know what it stood for. But in today's world, GVWR is probably the most important acronym that
100%.
you have, right? In your vernacular, because GVWR to a commercial truck salesperson, whether you're on the manufacturing side, truck sales, repair, it doesn't matter. Those terms are ultra important to what we do. And I know you're constantly having to educate. I don't want to say constantly, but you're educating your customer on what your product, trucks, and things of that nature can and can't do. Am I right?
That's right. It's an everyday thing. And
yeah.
Literally just had a meeting yesterday with some of our sales staff. We had a little educational seminar on gross vehicle weight rating, which GVWR, the acronym is for gross vehicle weight rating, which is the maximum amount that vehicle can weigh. One of our trucks that we upfit the most is going to be the Ford F600, which is a 22,000 GVWR truck. Doesn't mean the truck weighs 22,000 pounds. That would be curb weight. Its curb weight is approximately 8,000 pounds.
The chassis.
As a bare chassis from the factory.
Yep.
But when you start slapping things onto it, putting a body on the frame and however much that body weighs, and fuel, yourself, your Mountain Dew, your backpack, your lunch, when that truck rolls across a scale, 22,000 pounds is the maximum weight that Ford Motor Company says that truck should weigh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 22,000 pounds.
Mm-hmm. That's
your gross vehicle weight rating. And as long as you're under 26,000, you're under CDL, you don't have to have a CDL license. Now, there is some certain circumstances based on if you're hauling certain type materials, there's always nuances that you might still need a CDL. But we're leaving the externalities, and it's off the table right now. We're talking just the main course.
Yeah.
So the gross vehicle weight rating is very important because I get phone calls all the time that, hey, I've got a 2014 Silverado 2500 and I want to put a roll-off hoist on it. Stop.
Yeah.
Pump the brakes. Hang on. Then we have to have a GVWR conversation that your truck probably has a 10,000 or 11,000 pound GVWR. So by the time you were to put something on the frame, even if it fit, just the weight of the hoist on the back of it, you're already maxed out.
You're done. Yeah.
You're done. You can't do it. Mm-hmm. And teaching them that. And so just making sure people understand the right truck for the job. With our focus, we are full send on the waste removal world. So the trucks that we build are going to be built to haul trash and haul dumpsters. Therefore, I always lean people to class 5 and up because I truly believe that a 19,500 pound GVWR chassis, such as a Ford F550 or Silverado 5500 or Ram 5500, that's your baseline. Mm-hmm. 19,500. Because once you take a truck and you mount it up with a hoist system, a tarp system, some toolboxes for extra storage, you're going to be all over 10,000 pounds, just curb weight before you put a dumpster on it. Mm-hmm. So a typical dumpster on the back, let's call it 3,000 pounds. Well, okay, now you're at 13,000 pounds. You can only weigh 19.5, so you've got about 3.5 tons. And it's not hard to put 3.5 tons in a dumpster. It can be a quarter way full and be that.
Yeah.
So that's some education we have to give people sometimes, is understanding that gross vehicle weight rating is extremely important in this line of work. Mm-hmm. And that making sure that if they want to be under CDL, what truck can we put them on that's going to give them the weight rating to do their job and any other needs or bells and whistles that they may want to perform their job at the highest level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's even from my chair of selling vehicles all those years, I can't tell you how many times most customers will underspec a truck, and it's based on budget numbers. I don't want the 550 because that's not within my budget. We can do it with a 350. Well, you can do it with a 350, but you can't do what you're wanting to do with a 350. But if this is what you want to do, you may need to look at a 750 or maybe a Class 8 tractor for what you're wanting to do. And that is I don't want to say it's delicate, but it's certainly, you've got to have really good communication skills to not offend somebody for the homework that they've already done, but also be able to educate them on the pitfalls and the problems that they're going to face down the road. That's what you're there to do, is to help them. It's like, okay, well, what you're asking me to do is only going to leave you about 1,000 pounds of payload. So unless you're hauling helium filled balloons, you're not going to be able to put much in the back of that dumpster. Right?
You can haul 2 Samsung refrigerators. That's it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe with no ice in them. You can't have any ice
Yeah.
in them. but
For sure.
those are conversations. Those are real conversations, because as a general rule, most people, even people within our industry, don't know what things weigh.
Yeah.
Now, the good thing about it is we have a device that we carry in the palm of our hand that can generally give us approximate weights pretty quickly. You can go into Google or Chat GPT or whatever you're going to do and say, how much does this weigh? And it'll tell you. And then as long as you can do the math, then you can figure out, yeah, okay, I'm only going to be able to load this dumpster a quarter of the way full. But those questions, understanding GBWR, chassis sizes, that's more our job, right? That's more your job on the manufacturing side, is being able to get people into the right truck that's going to do the right application. And let's face it, businesses change very quickly, but the odds on them changing that truck to change with their business is slim to none. So, for example, you probably had some customers that came in, you got them into an F550 or a 5500, however you want to look at it. And then you see them a year later and you're like, whoa, man, hold on. We got into this new contract and it's heavier. Okay. Well, your trucks weren't designed to do that. Most business owners look at it on the monetary value of, well, I don't want to go back and get another truck just because my business changed, when that's really what they need to do. And that's where you come in as more than just the salesperson, but more of a business partner, and say, hey, man, let's at least have a conversation about it. Let's just see what's going on. And hopefully they haven't had any major problems along the way, whether it be citations or some sort of compromise on their truck or equipment or anything like that. But those things happen. That's real conversations that we have on a daily, for sure.
It is. I'll give you. I don't want to name the company, but we had
Please don't. Please don't.
we had a visitor, an out of state visitor yesterday, that came to tour our shop and look at us, and he had a hook lift truck. It was a Class 5 Silverado, a Silverado 5500 HD, which is a 19,500 pound GBWR chassis. He had a hook lift on there that was rated to lift 20,000 pounds. I didn't say anything, but I knew in my head that was whoever upfitted that truck made a very unwise decision, because the correct hoist capacity for a 19.5 chassis would probably be 12 to 14,000 pounds, not 20,000 pounds. Because here's why. The truck itself, like I said, once you put a hoist on it, tarp system, toolboxes, it's 10,000 pounds. So on a 19.5 chassis, you only have 9,500 pounds left. So if you put an empty dumpster on the back, let's call that empty dumpster 3,000 pounds. Now my truck weighs 10, curb weight. My dumpster weighs 3,000, that's 13,000. I only have 6,500 pounds left to go in the dumpster. Why would I need a hoist on that truck that has a 20,000 pound lifting capacity when the maximum amount of weight it needs to be pulling is 9 to 10,000 pounds? I'm running that hoist at 50% or maybe slightly under, and I'm maxing out my GVWR of the chassis. So whoever installed that hoist for this particular person just sold them probably what they had in stock or what they could get, or what they wanted to get rid of, but under no circumstance was it the right thing. Just because it has extra power and extra might, you've done your client a disservice, because he's going to forget his truck chassis limitations. And he has a hoist because this person admitted to me that he's picked up 18,000 pounds with that hoist. Okay, well, if your truck weighs 10 and you've asked your hoist to lift 18, you've weighed 28,000 pounds, which is over CDL, and your chassis is 19,500 pound gross vehicle weight rating. I didn't say anything yesterday, but in my brain, I'm like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
People just don't know. And it even shows there's installers
Mm-hmm.
that aren't following proper protocols and offering correct education
Mm-hmm.
to set their customers up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, I will say that in our hook lift world, you do want to put a hook lift on there that's a little bit more powerful than the truck's capabilities, but you shouldn't be running at 50% capacity to reach GVWR. To reach GVWR, typically you're going to be around 75% roughly of that hoist's capability.
Mm-hmm.
One of our biggest upfits is the F600 with an 18,000 pound capacity hook lift on it. Well, there again, that truck weighs 10,000 pounds, curb weight, fully upfitted without a dumpster. So that means I have 12,000 pounds to play with. I'm only asking that truck to grab 12,000 pounds of its 18,000 pound capacity. So that's running close to that 70% capacity of the hoist's strength to reach GVWR. That way, you're not overstimulating or overstressing your hoist system, and it can last you for years. And now, granted, you could make the same argument for this particular customer yesterday that had a 20,000 pound hoist, but that's just way overkill because it's only going to push him to make the choice to use that extra strength on that hoist and immensely overweigh his truck to the point where it's going to break.
Mm-hmm.
And then he can't help anybody, and he's dead in the water with his business.
Yeah.
Because you didn't put the right truck with the right hoist.
Yeah.
And the parties involved didn't have the education to know better.
Yeah.
Or maybe they did and didn't say anything.
Maybe.
We don't know.
Yeah. There's always, we can always play devil's advocate. Okay, was the customer in a big rush? Just took on a contract. I need something fast. It's like, okay, well, I've got a 550. I don't have the hoist, and it's going to take another 3 months to get the hoist. Okay, well, what do you have in stock? Well, I have this. You'd like to think that someone along the way played devil's advocate. It's like, I can put this on there. However, please understand that it's not going to have a 20,000 pound lift capacity with all the weights that we have factored in here. 9 times out of the 10, the customer's going to say, hey, don't worry about it. I understand. No big deal. Okay. Yeah. Until somebody looks underneath there and says, hey, that thing's got a 20,000 pound hoist on it. Yeah. Well, that doesn't mean you can put that much weight on there. But again, most people just overweigh their trucks and then they're just rolling the dice. Years ago, I used to have, on any commercial upfitted vehicle I sold, I made a customer sign a waiver, and all it was just a simple one sheet of paper that said, this is what your truck is rated for from the factory. This is what it weighs empty, and this is your total capacity. And I even took it even further. We have GVWR, then we have GCWR. I would also show them the GCWR. It's like, okay, this is what your truck will do with a trailer. This is what it'll do without a trailer. I just need you to sign right here. And I'm going to tell you, I had one instance where a customer didn't want to sign it. And I had a driver that had driven this thing all the way down to Victoria. It's about 9 hours from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I get a phone call late at night. Hey, Pat, I got your customer here. Yeah. And he doesn't want to sign this document. Okay. Why? Well, he just doesn't feel like he needs to acknowledge these numbers. I was like, well, those numbers are based on real statistics. That's the capability of that truck. I don't care what he does with the truck, but if he's going to overuse the truck, I just want a way to say, I told you what the capabilities were. So in the event, God, you get into an accident, the first thing an attorney is going to figure out is, who hit you? Well, it was that company over there. Okay. They're going to start doing some digging, and they're going to try to figure out if the company, the driver, the business owner, whoever it is, did they know the limitations? And it's very easy to say, well, my sales guy told me it would do that. That's a very easy, off-putting comment that doesn't mean anything. But then I get an attorney calling me, hey, we need to talk to you about this transaction with this customer. Did you make them aware of the weights and capacities of that truck? And my answer is yes, absolutely, because I've got a document here stating that this customer signed, and I told him what all the weights and measures of the truck were. At that point, I'd like to think the attorney goes, okay, we have nothing more to talk about. Have a great day. Rather than, hey, you've been summoned to appear in court because your customer that you sold this truck to is being sued by this family that lost a member of their family because this truck was overloaded during an accident. Well, if I had that documentation in front of me, I'm not sure that it's admissible in court, but it's certainly better than not having anything at all. And that's the way I looked at it. It's like, hey, I did the best I could. I let the customer know. We talked about it verbally, and then he signed off on it. Now, eventually he did sign off on it because I wasn't going to deliver the truck to him. He got on the phone and said, "You being serious right now? You're not gonna let me buy this truck." I said, "You're the one that's keeping this from happening, not me. If you'll just sign the document, I don't care what you do with the truck. I'm just letting you know what the capabilities and the maximum amounts are. Do whatever you want."
Which is from the manufacturer,
absolutely
not Patrick.
Yeah, I didn't make these numbers up.
This is stuff from the OEM.
Yeah, exactly. But it knock on wood, I didn't have any problems, and I've never heard of anybody really having problems.
Yeah.
But I just didn't want to get in the middle of it. It's like, I told you this is what it can do, and whether you do it or not, that's on you. But I at least told you about it. So,
and I like that you mentioned GCWR, because you and I know that there are millions upon millions upon millions of people out there that have work trucks and trailers that don't know what GCWR is.
Nope.
And if you were to really look at it, they're over CDL every day of the week, all day long. And this was a part of our seminar meeting yesterday that I was teaching some of the sales staff, is because we also build dumpsters for roll-off trailers. And I said, guys, have y'all ever wondered why, when a customer shows up with a roll-off trailer, why they're typically always in a 2500 or 3500? You never see an F550 or F600 or 5500 pulling that trailer. I said, the reason is, when you get into the world of pulling a trailer, the GVWR of the truck plus the GVWR of the trailer adds together to gross combined weight rating that still has to be under 26,000 combined to be under CDL. So, case in point, we have a customer that bought an F600 from us with a hook lift, 22,000 GVWR truck. He also bought a roll-off trailer, but this guy was educated. He knew he couldn't pull a 16,000-pound GVWR trailer behind a 22,000-pound GVWR truck, because, Lou, in my math, that's what, 38,000 pounds. That's well over CDL. So they went out and bought a 2,500 that has a 10,000-pound GVWR, because the 10 plus the 16 together is 26. They're good.
Right.
And some light bulbs are going off. But you and I you could go out to lunch later today, and you might pass somebody driving an F550 or 5500 truck, and they're pulling a flat deck trailer. That trailer probably has a 15,000-pound GVWR, and that person or that company has no idea that technically that's a CDL violation.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so popular and it's so common that nobody really knows or looks into it or challenges it. But in the event there is a legal issue, such as an accident and someone gets hurt, then it's somebody's going to find it. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said, a legal attorney or a legal practice, they're going to
Oh, yeah.
find it.
Yeah.
And they're going to, and that's when that company or individual will find out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it happens all the time.
All day.
And my big focus is making sure that our customers, like you said, are made aware
Mm-hmm.
of these numbers. And it's not to confuse them or tell them no. It's just I have to protect not only myself, I got to protect my coworkers, I have to protect the company, and any liabilities that I can save us from is a part of my job.
Yeah.
Every single day of the week.
Yeah.
Even when I'm off the clock. I can't be on Facebook or Instagram putting a derogatory post on my personal page, or because that still puts a negative image to the company I work for and puts liability on them.
Yes.
So you have to be that ambassador to protect yourself, your coworkers, and your brand at all times. So 100% agree.
Yeah. Yeah, without fail. And there have been times, and I'm sure you've probably have felt this as well, we're the bad guy. Because we're having to deliver the news. It's like, that truck's not going to do that. And as soon as okay, let's say you take an F600. I'm sitting there looking at one online right now. You got an F600. It's got a hook lift on it, and the customer says, "Hey, can you put a pintle hitch on that?" I can. Yeah. Do you want to stay underneath CDL? Is what you told me. Right. It's a 22,000-pound truck until you hook something up to it. Because I've yet to see a 3,500-pound trailer have a pintle hitch on it. But, you could pull a 3,500-pound trailer, no problem, and still stay below the 26,000-pound threshold. But who puts a pintle hitch on a truck to pull a single axle little 12-foot flatbed? Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. They're going to go hook onto something and go, well, I've done it in the past. How many times you heard? That's the way I've always done it. Okay. So that makes it right. Yeah. It's capable.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Because case in point, Patrick, I got approached by someone that says, "Well, Curtis, if I take my F550 and put a trailer behind it, I don't weigh CDL. I'm empty. I'm fine." No, sir, no, ma'am. It doesn't matter if the truck is empty or loaded. The GVWR is what it is, whether you're loaded or empty. Like case in point, I don't have a CDL. There is a Volvo road tractor sitting out in our parking lot right now. If I go fire that thing up, even though that road tractor, its curb weight is less than 26, its GVWR is much higher than that, over 26,000. I don't have a CDL. So the minute I crank it up and hit a public road, I'm in direct violation.
Okay? 100%.
But I'm empty. I'm not pulling a trailer. It doesn't matter.
What's it capable of?
Correct. The GVWR of the truck plus the GVWR of the trailer, those combined still have to be 26 or under. Or you're over CDL.
That's right. Technically, it's $25,999, but hey, whatever. Yeah. That's a big sticking point. Yeah. Yep. For sure. Yeah, man. I know we talked about. Obviously, you guys do a really good job on social media. Talk to me about that. I know you spend a lot of money, a lot of time, both. I mean, how does social media work for you guys? How's it working?
Social media is extremely powerful. For me, my bread and butter is still Facebook. Facebook Marketplace, Facebook advertising has been good to me, and I use that every day. I get on there and I post, and we have a strong Facebook presence and Google presence here at LiftMax Pros, and that does drive a lot of people back to us. It also drives an expensive bill. Advertising is not cheap.
No, it's not.
But yeah, social media is powerful, and I have used it ever since I've been in the vehicle industry. Facebook Marketplace, making videos. I believe someone that goes out there and makes a TikTok or an Instagram account, and you're constantly putting yourself out there, promoting your brand, is the way to go. Like I said, for me, definitely Facebook Marketplace. That's the king for me right now. With where we're going, and we're investing quite a bit into Google right now to ramp up the advertising there. But I like to stick with Facebook. I actually have a laptop here next to my computer that is specific for Facebook, because every day I'm on hook lift pages, roll off pages, switch and go cable hoist pages, putting posts on there, looking for other people's posts, looking for equipment. I'll comment what I have. I may or may not get a fish on it, but the law of averages says if I keep casting my line, I'm going to get a bite. I had someone tell me good advice about advertising and leads, and they said kind of look at it like a paintball gun. You can fill that hopper with paintballs, but only one can go down the chute at a time into the chamber. So you might have 20 in the hopper, but if you just keep that hopper full, your chamber is going to get fed.
That's a good way to look at it.
It's good. And I was like, makes sense to me.
I always use the fishing, the fishing analogy. It's like, look, in order to catch fish, as a general rule, you got to have a line in the water. Now, we all know, and I'm assuming you're a fisherman as well, that 10% of the water is going to hold 90% of the fish. So your advertising efforts are the same way. You could be advertising. So, for example, if you're advertising to customers that have absolutely nothing to do with hook lift, cable lifts, hoists, roll-offs, whatever, you're absolutely wasting your ad spend. Yep. Okay, but in the grand scheme of things, you can say, well, Patrick, I'm spending, $5,000 a week on advertising. Yeah, but you're fishing the wrong waters, bro. And what if I told you spend 20% of that money, but put it in the right water, you'll get a better return on investment. And that's what people have to understand is even doing what we do in the car business, in the truck business or whatever, you have to talk to the right people. And if you're talking to the wrong people, you're just wasting your money. But no, I think, it's good to know that Facebook really works for you guys. Like I said, you've got a really good presence on LinkedIn as well. But you've figured out that your buyers are on Facebook, so that's awesome.
Yeah, and I've always just believed in the marketplace. Like, if you have a personal item at home you want to sell, what's the first place you're going to go to? Marketplace.
Marketplace, that's right.
Yeah. Get it sold. And if you want to throw a little money at it to promote it, you can, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
It's just been an effective tool for me.
Yeah.
Google leads usually tell me that person's probably shopping. When you're on Google, you're given many results for one item. When you're on Marketplace, everything on Marketplace is typically, for the majority, a one of one. Yeah. Someone might have an F600 on Marketplace, but it's not going to be the same F600 I got.
Right.
Because mine's got this body on it, this body on it. Mine's now a one of one because of the way I built it.
Sure.
And so that kind of that helps.
Yeah.
That helps tremendously.
You're probably educating a lot of your customers as well.
Yeah, I love to educate. I love to teach. I love to find new things.
Yeah.
I like to go out into the shop, even though my boss likes me to be networking and selling.
Yeah.
I like to go out there and watch builds and ask questions and learn things because I don't like being caught off guard with something I don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
So the more I know, the more polished I can be, the better I can communicate, the better I can sell. And I can understand the full process because it's not just selling. I have to also keep in mind there's an inventory procedure here. There's a production procedure. There's a testing procedure. and being cognizant of all those facets, because I can sell all day long.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't have the other areas of the shop,
Mm-hmm.
If they're not equipped properly, then it doesn't matter what you sell.
Yeah.
It takes them too.
Yeah. Well, and it's good for your guys to see you out there as well,
Yep.
because that signifies that the hard work that they're putting in resonates with you. You care enough about the hard work that they're putting in to be able to tell the world about it, and you want to be completely educated on it as much as possible, obviously. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Those guys in the shops, they don't get the recognition that they deserve. And just by going out there and just hanging out with them and seeing what they're doing and talking with them and just staying in contact with them, that means a lot to those guys. Absolutely.
And I'm glad you mentioned recognition. I want to show you something right here.
All right.
Okay. This is a brand new box of work boots.
Okay.
That I just picked up. Now this wasn't purchased with company money. This is my personal debit card.
Yeah.
My new shop foreman out there that recently got a promotion. I've been so grateful for him staying around and all the hard work he does, especially in these 100-degree humid days we have in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I noticed yesterday his work boots, the steel in the toes is exposed. Oh. They're so worn.
Yeah.
Now, could he go out and buy his own new pair of boots? I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's no problem. But I said, you know what? I'm going to go do that for him.
Yeah.
Because I know that I wouldn't be where I'm at in this office right now if it weren't for him out there turning the wrenches and sweating and doing the manual labor.
Yeah, yeah.
Wiring up the lights, mounting the hoist, running hydraulic lines, all these things that are needed to build these trucks.
Yeah.
So it says, you know what? I'm a big believer in taking care of those that take care of you.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. And he doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to go give him this box here in a little while.
Yeah.
And treat him to that and tell him thank you.
Good. That's awesome.
That goes a long way.
Oh, yeah.
Even back during my times at the dealership, I would go down to, I'm sure you guys might have Little Caesars Pizza in Texas. Little $5 and change large pies. I'd go down, spend $20, get 4 pizzas or so, come back to the detail shop, give it to the guys that do detail.
Oh. Yes.
A lot of them are young kids. They're 18, 19, 20 years old. They're not making a whole lot of money washing and cleaning the cars up. Mm-hmm. But I know that if Patrick is my customer and you're buying a brand new Tahoe, if that car comes down from detail, you've already spent hours with me at my desk. We've done test drives. You've gone to the F&I manager. You signed your paperwork. You've had to deal with what the payments are.
Right.
And your Tahoe comes down from detail, and it's not looking pretty and sharp and standing tall. Your whole experience feels like a waste of time.
Yeah. Yep.
And so that's why I take those guys pizza. I say, well, no, when you see Curtis's car come in his detail shop, I want extra love.
Yes.
Yes. And I'll give you these pizzas to make sure you do it.
Yeah.
Please. And giving to your staff goes a long way. Even when I go to the VA hospital to do my checkups and things at the VA, there's a Krispy Kreme donut shop in that town. And I'll pick up Krispy Kreme donuts, bring it back to the shop, and give them to the guys that are fabricating the dumpsters.
Yeah.
And as a thank you.
Yeah.
And they're so excited to have that. But just giving to them, taking care of your people is amazing.
It's huge.
The return, the ROI on that
yes.
is a lot of fun. And it feels good.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And you're taking care of your people, and it does nothing but good things. Food can solve a lot of it can fix a lot of wars. Just sit down and have a meal together.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how our sales meeting started yesterday.
Yeah.
Our boss had lunch brought in.
Yep.
We sat down. We ate. We had our drinks.
Yeah.
And then we rolled into our sales meeting.
Yeah.
And the vibe was already perfect because there was food involved.
Everybody felt good. Yeah. Yeah, usually if you're walking into a sales meeting and lunch is being served, my first thought is, oh, hell, we ain't going nowhere. We're going to be here for a minute. Well, brother, I've enjoyed this, man. I'm glad we were able to do this. It's
Yeah.
been a pleasure talking with you and learning about you.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for your service, man. I can't stress that enough. What you're willing to do, what I was unwilling to do, means a lot, man.
Yep.
And I appreciate it, brother. Um, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that? Website, email, phone numbers, anything that you want to tell anybody?
Absolutely. They can reach me. Our website is www.liftmaxpros.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can email me, Curtis at liftmaxpros.com. My direct line at the shop to my work cell phone, that number is area code 828-344-5537. That'll come straight to me, and I'll be the only one who answers, I promise.
And you'll pick it up whenever that thing rings.
Well, if I don't pick it up, I try to pick up every call.
Yeah.
But if I don't pick it up, know that I will get back to you.
Definitely so. Yeah, for sure, man. Well, that's great. Yeah. Having multiple ways to get in touch with you, I think, is
Yeah.
golden. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're able to share that. Well, brother, man, we'll have to do this again sometime. And if you're ever down here, I'm ever up there, let's make it a point and get together and chat in person.
For sure, absolutely. I'm very eager to get down to Texas and hang out. And
Yeah, man.
I like to go down there and let them know that I still think Carolina has the better barbecue.
Of course. And you would think that.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, that's funny. All right, brother. Well, until next time, man, it's been good talking with you.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll see you, Curtis.